Welcome to Cat the Minion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is going to be an air elemental reading for October 7th through November 6th. The air elements are... I don't know why I'm having a hard time. It's probably because I was distracted by like 4 different things just now. For air elemental readings, we're dealing particularly with the planet Mercury, with Venus, and with Uranus. And if you're watching this for your astrological sign or cross-watching, we have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So if any of those houses, signs, planets, and so on are popping up in your day-to-day world, this might also be for you. So we're looking for air elemental, air energy between October 7th and November 6th. So the reading that I'm using for this month is called Triangulation. It's a new spread that I'm developing. So this is going to be an intense reading for air element because I'm going to be using the wild unknown archetypes here and the mystical shaman oracle. I know I'm having a hard time with the brain to mouth and the distraction. It's because Mercury is retrograde. So I do want to briefly just talk about what's going on planetary-wise. There's a lot going on. So this reading is starting on October 7th, which is the day after the new moon in Libra and Pluto goes direct in Capricorn. So we're just outside the scope of that. And we're just missing having 2 new moons in this reading. So we just sort of have the knowledge that we're just coming off of a new moon and that huge planetary shift. But I see Pluto going direct with a new moon as being more of a resurrection cycle. Also, if it gives me this sort of like morning wood kind of imagery. So take that as it may. During this time period, there's 4 retrogrades going direct. Mercury's going to be retrograde until October 18th. It goes direct in Libra. And on that same day, Jupiter goes direct in Aquarius. On October 11th, Saturn's going direct in Aquarius. So we have all that happening within like a week and a half. Wait, that's more, no, whatever. Like within 2 weeks. And then the full moon is also right after that on the 20th in Aries. And the sun moves into Scorpio on the 23rd. As we roll into November, is there any callbacks? Yeah, there is a moon callback. So there's a moon callback before the new... Well, hang on, I gotta do this right. We're starting on the 7th of October. So the first moon callback that we have is the day after the new moon in Libra on the 7th of October. And then we come back to Libra, the moon in Libra, on the 2nd and 3rd of November. But the day after that is the new moon in Scorpio. So there's this weird, like, Libra moon sandwich happening. It's like a little bit of like from dusk till dawn, but it's like it gives me this like narcolepsy feeling. You know, it's like, it's like everything's shut down, and just when I think I'm getting going again, you know, I've passed through these retrogrades, I've got some illumination about my, how I manage the world around me, and then I come back, and it's like, I get to it's like Sisyphus rolling the rock up the hill, and all of a sudden I've got to start back again. But I think what's happening here is actually, you're leveled up, so you might have been, you know, king of the elementary school, but then it's like going to middle school and suddenly you're, you know, the FNG, low man on the totem pole again. That's what that energy is doing. But there's also this callback from the 8th and 9th of October with Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio, coming back with this new moon on the 4th and 5th of November. And then we have another day of callback because we also have a Sagittarian moon energy, which is happening when Capricorn shifts direct on the 11th of October. But we're coming back to moon in Sagittarius on the 6th of November, just before this time frame cuts off. So we're looking at this window of time where the moon is talking to the first two retrogrades that are going direct with this like cosmic shift energy. You know, it's like okay, we've had one planet go direct, everything's been shaken up, and I've had to start over again. And then it happens again within the span of a few days. So that's what's going on there. I also wanted to point out that there is a matchup between Mercury and Mars on the 5th and 6th of November. And also with this new moon on the 4th and 5th of November, that's calling back to this scorpionic energy. That was happening on the 8th and 9th of October. On that new moon in November, in the beginning of the month, at the same time, we have Mercury and Venus are both moving into different astrological signs. They're not going to be in the same one. Mercury's chasing Venus's tail, but they're both shifting on the same day. It's like a clockwork, right? Two pieces that are connected to each other that are like an axle, right? They're in different signs, but they're moving in sync with each other, like a water ballet. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but there's a definite. If I look, the energy that stands out the most is the moon in Scorpio. And that energy would be the 6 of Cups inverted, which is an energy of I need to go deeper, which has to do with that resurrection energy. Okay, so I'm going to get this reading set up. I've already cleared and shuffled these cards, but I'm going to give it just another little quick flip, you know, mix up here. I should point out with these round cards especially, if I'm going to do triangulation and make a triangle, it starts to take on the energy of the flower of life. Because if I start, I make a Vesica Pisces in the middle, and then I add to it. And if I go all the way around, that gives me this flower of life shape. And if these weren't solid, you'd be able to see that they're making that shape in the middle. It's dusty. Which eventually would turn into Metatron's cube. This is just one of my coloring books. This is the old cover. The new cover is almost the same. I just don't have one of those. Okay. So I'm just going to put these back in here, but hopefully that made sense. So the way that triangulation works is I have a past, present, and future slot. And then I have basically the triangle. It's easier to see with these cards because they're flat. The triangle yields a space in the middle, and that's where we're looking at what the problem is that's being focused on, and then afterwards a kind of solution. So I'm going to set these cards up. I did bring out the books because I might want some extra information. I don't want to get like a million cards because these cards decks are both very potent. Apparently these need to be turned around for this reading. I usually leave them on the planet side, but we want to look at this. So, okay. I know I lost my 7. God damn it. I don't remember how I did this last time, where I put the past and the I think the past and the present were here, and then the future was up here, but I don't know. Because it's kind of like those Celtic crosses. It depends on who's doing the spread as to where the elements are going. Future. Extra cards trying to come out here. So I'm going to get the I'm going to get the exit card and set that aside, and then I'm going to get the intro card and see what we've got. Exit card. Conclusion. Solution. Advice. Commentary. And let me see, what is the issue at hand? Okay. So let me get this set back up here. This frickin' tripod is soggy. I guess it's about as good as it's gonna get. I'll make sure I'm actually recording here. Okay, so we're looking at the problem, and this is sort of like it's coming up out of the ether, like it's coming like into the middle of these times that we experience linearly, but they're all happening kind of at the same time. It's like a homing beacon. So let's see what the issue is here. So we have the Rainmaker. And because I was moving the card around, I don't know whether it's upright or not. So we're going to say it's in a challenge position. We have number 42, which is the answer to everything. We're starting out with an energy that's very much about water, about washing things through. We think about water, we think about nutrients, we think about growth and healing. We also think about clearing and cleaning, and we think about emotions. If we're dealing with rain, it could be a light mist, it could be a drizzle, it could be snow, it could be frozen, it could be hail, it could be a torrential downpour, like thunder and lightning. We're also dealing with this idea of rain being some kind of meeting between, I want to say heaven and earth, but I don't like that terminology. We're having the sky and the earth meeting. So what we're doing is we're having this grounding of air element via emotional pathway. So let me just see what we've got in the book. I'm going to skim it. I might not read the whole thing because I want to pick out some extra information. I'm being hard-pressed to say that 42 is breaking into 4, which is the Emperor. But we see it at 40, which means that there could be 4 cycles, like 4 seasons. And this could be figurative. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's been a year since blah, blah, blah. It means there's, the season of being a child, the season of being a teenager, the season of being old. But I'm also thinking about the group, the 4 Seasons. Frankie Valli and the 4 Seasons. But the only lyrics that are coming to mind are really annoying ones that I don't want to repeat. We also see 2, which is the High Priestess, which is air elemental energy. If I'm reading her as a higher vibration of 2 of Swords, Queen of Swords, Justice. Although the High Priestess is usually how I see her is usually Piscean. But Pisces is the airy water sign. And even if I took the traditional meaning of Cancer for the High Priestess, it's still water elemental energy. And if you also think of like Father Sky and Mother Earth, or vice versa, depending on which tradition you're coming from, we do have this idea of the air and the ground meeting together, but the pathway through that is still water. And if you think about water, what is it? It's resonance. There's a flow of communication. And I'm looking at Aquarius right now because Aquarius is the wet air sign, and it has to do more with communication than the other two. But I'm also looking at 42, which breaks down to 6, which is the Lovers with this Gemini energy. So in this card, I can see all 3 of the air elementals sitting right in there. I'm looking at this dark circle here, and it's making me think of that new moon energy that this time period is sandwiched between, where I said it was like Sisyphus rolling the rock up the hill. It's like the power went out, new moon, it's total darkness, and we finally got it back on after like a week, after like a month, and then the power went out again. It's like the power went off just long enough to blip my computer, and I had to turn it back on, and I finally got logged back in, and everything that I was working on opened up, and it blipped again. Just enough to be annoying and to throw you off. It's like something to jar your system, and then there's that whole resurrection energy coming through. Okay. So it says a rainmaker is a master of manifestation. Manifestation is a lot about bringing your thoughts to the material world, right? You can create your environment all you want in your head, but in order to manifest, you have to make your desires, which is an emotional content, reality, right? There isn't any emotional fulfillment if your reality only exists in your head, because you're always going to be chasing that dream, which is like rolling that rock up the hill. When the power to co-create is used with integrity, great beauty and benefit flow to all. When this power is used for personal gain only, everyone suffers. So then it talks about rain. I'll just read it. It says, when the earth is parched, the rainmaker calls the waters from the heavens, and all that is dormant in the fields and in people's hearts springs to life again. Right? So there's also this idea of the longer your dreams don't manifest, like the more barren your heart can get. It can feel like, it's that idea of desertification. It's not just I'm deserted, right? But that's probably some reason why the desert is called the desert, because it is a wasteland. It's deserted of life. But that's not necessarily true. It's just underground. And interestingly enough, when you have desert space, when the land dries and it starts to crack and split, it usually does so in a triangular pattern. But because this is sort of in a challenge position, even though I've placed it upright, let me just skim this. Okay. So the challenge is to not be in this frame of mind of woulda, coulda, shoulda, and that when, why is there a helicopter? When things don't manifest, it's not a personal insult to you. You have to actually be involved in the co-creation of your environment. There's a balance between trying to coerce the universe into doing what you want and waiting entirely for the universe to do everything for you and not putting any effort in. And I'm also seeing this now, when you manifest, when you're bountiful, when you're abundant, that's the word I wanted. When you're abundant in the physical world, people talk about having money. Right? Money is our most understood measure of abundance. And it's like, what do you do when you have a lot of money? You give people money, you make it rain. You're the rain maker. But what is it that you're sloughing off of your, or sloughing? Whatever you're sloughing off of your pile that you have in your hand, it might not necessarily be just cold hard cash. What are you manifesting? What are you, what is, are you palming cards? Like, what's going on? But it's like I'm creating something out of something that wasn't there before. So let's look at the past. So we have the tear. This is also emotional, and it's related to cleansing and expression and rain. So we have number 52. So we went from 42 to 52. Well, we're going from 52 to 42, right? Because this is the past. So we're actually dealing with a countdown. And we have an eye here, which could be a third eye. And there's like pinky purpley energy here. I think the third eye is indigo. But it to me, it seems like there's a lament about not being able to connect to the universe. My eye is open, but my crown, my radio antenna might be down. Right? The clouds are going by, but why is there no rain coming? So I'm going to skim this in the Archetypes book for extra tidbits. 69. Oh, I was almost there too. Okay. Okay. Often the tear is what is needed in order for a conversation or situation to break into the next level of intimacy and vulnerability. So what I was talking about of like graduating to a bigger school where now you're a small fish in a big pond again, that energy is that it's that same energy of breaking into a next level, right? It's like I might have been like a third level yellow belt, but now I'm like a first level black belt, or however those belts work in karate. I don't have profound knowledge about that, but I know that black belt is supposed to be the highest. Okay, this is important. Some say that tears are so powerful in softening our egos that they open up a portal to the unseen world. Okay. There's a connection between emotional flow and in terms of resonance and cosmic flow in terms of information. So if I look at the High Priestess, you know, she might be thinking she's all that and a bag of potato chips. Because the ego is like, well, I'm able to tap into stuff. I know what you're doing. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're feeling. But then the High Priestess, her own life, I'm just saying her because the High Priestess is usually depicted as feminine. Her own life can often be stilted in some way because there's a blockage to information based on this ego block, which is an emotional block. Right? It's like it's like corrosion building up on a battery in that way. So it says, it's likely this card appears when there's a grieving yet to do, a sinking down into disappointment or despair that once acknowledged will bring a shimmer of clarity. So this has to do with that being butthurt about things not manifesting the way that you wanted them to, right? It's like the antithesis of not crying over spilt milk. It's like, no, you actually do need to cry over that because you'll have that emotion just like pressed into the fibers of your body until it's released. So not only do we have this tear to like wash the corrosion off of the receptor, it's the microcosm of making rain, right? I make water, I create a flow within myself, and then the universe co-creates because I'm doing the effort, and now my tear of frustration and sadness and cleansing turns out to create this flow of energy and information in the material world. When there's a blockage or the ego is in full effect, it can create just a lot of bullshit drama. Okay, so this is interesting here. On the side it says, if both the tear and the river appear in a reading, this indicates an excess of the water element in your life. As in the Ayurvedic tradition, balance it with fire and earth. But I was talking about grounding here. Right? We're not dealing with fire just yet. But we do have the Emperor energy, which is Aries, which is fire energy. But we do have that Aries full moon coming in October on the 20th. All right. So this could be, in the past, I've been very dramatic and my ego's been overcrowding me. But it could also be I haven't released my past and I bottle it up and I don't release that, sulfuric acid that's eating away at me. I don't know why I pronounced that weird, sulfuric. Whatever. All right, so in the future, no, in the present. Oh my God. This is only the second time I've done this spread. So in the present, the kiss. That makes me think of Prince. So this is number 60. From 60 is 18, which is moon energy again. 52 and 42 brings in the wheel energy, which is fire, which is Jupiter energy, which is also going direct in this time span. Is that the 18th? That's the one that's on the 18th, I think. No, it's Jupiter and Mercury going direct on the 18th. Okay. Right before that full moon. So we see that this is a crescent moon. We're talking about energy leading up to the full moon or coming away from the full moon, towards that second new moon on the 4th and 5th of November. I like how my throat chakra just bit the dust there. This also looks like a cantaloupe. But look at these hands together. It's like we can't elope. Even though maybe we want to. So this could be about manifesting a relationship. We're dealing with the present energy here. It does give me this idea of longing. Like what I want to manifest isn't manifesting. It definitely could be a relationship here. But it doesn't always have to be. But notice this orange energy. We're getting fire here. We're getting sacral energy. But in order to manifest this energy, there still has to be grounding. You still have to go all the way down into the root and then into that copper star chakra underneath your feet. This looks like a gateway too. This is like I'm in the darkness and then I'm trying to step out into the light, but I've got this image in the back of my mind of something that I want or someone that I want. I need a sip of water and then I'll get into the book a little bit. So getting Sarah McLachlan. You know that song in Practical Magic, and it's like, this kiss, it's centrifugal motion. Oh, this book smells weird. It's like, it smells like CD ink, which is a weird smell for a book. Okay, so 185. So glad I wrote the numbers in Arabic numerals and the page numbers on here because I can't deal with the Roman numerals. It makes me ragey and I just couldn't deal with it anymore. 189. No, 185. Oh my god. Okay, so... Okay, it says here, chemistry. And I was talking about rainfall. Right? Precipitation. Right? If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the precipitate. There's so much ambient noise. I hope it's not all being picked up on the camera. It says, before our first kiss, the air is electrified. When I was thinking about the Rainmaker, I was thinking about background energy of lightning storms. Like thunder and lightning, the way you love me, it's frightening. But you better knock on wood. That's that grounding. Oh, this is getting pretty saucy pretty fast. And that has to do with that scorpionic energy going upright. It's very much, you know, hot and heavy. The heightened sensation of merging with other, of letting in what was moments ago separate, to become one. It's risky but beautiful business. So this might actually be talking about co-creating with the universe as a template, which could be co-creating with somebody else in terms of material manifestation. Okay, these moments forever change us as we move past the solid... Oh, I thought I was going to read that as solidarity. That's weird. These moments forever change us as we move past the solitary... Oh my god. As we move past the solitary self towards union and acceptance. True intimacy is around the corner, which requires bravery and surrender. Okay, So this is what I was talking about here. When the kiss takes a non-human form, it may be experienced as touching the sacred, hearing a whisper, or being graced by a divine being. You will recognize the presence of the kiss by cold chills and an awakening of the heart. Okay, so like I said, this could be trying to manifest a relationship, but it could also be opening up to that cosmic flow in terms of connection to your higher self or your guides. It's this idea of not being afraid to work with other energies to kind of reach your full potential, right? It's like, I don't have to have someone else. I'm not in an ego of lack. But in order to make myself the most that I can be, to keep reaching higher cycles, there's connecting openly with another source, whether it's the universe, your guides, or another person, gives you the understanding and increases your it's like increasing your productivity, increasing efficiency, like increasing profits. Although in this case it could be PROPHET. I'm still frustrated that I got stuck on that solitary sentence, but I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. Thanks, Mercury retrograde. Okay, so here in the dark aspect is neediness, pressure, dominance, and disrespect. That comes into this other dark aspect of drama. But the positive aspect is sensual expressiveness, merging, and inviting. So we see this orange energy here, and the sacral energy does have a lot to do with feeling safe and expressing yourself, feeling nurtured and protective. And we see that the fuel for the self-confidence comes from the sacral chakra. It's like the boiler room, and the room that it's heating is like a conference room, and that's where the solar chakra sits, where you're going to be giving a speech. But the energy is generated below in the sacral chakra, and that's where the seat of human sexuality sits. So if there's a sacral wounding, then we feel like everything that we make is crap, and we might feel weird about our body or being intimate with other people, right? There's an aspect of intimacy when you let someone else's energy or body into your little sphere of reference, or when you let something that's dear to you out for other people to see. And we have a lot of sacral wounding, especially in the Western world today. So this is kind of homing in on that idea. I also see this 42 here, it becomes 6, and this is 60 here. So we do have that lover's energy, we also have healing, and we also have a choice. 52 breaks down to 7, which is chariot energy, which is that moon energy again. Oh, now my battery's gonna crap out. God damn it. Well, I guess I better change the battery before I go on to the next card. Alright, so this future card here, we have the riddle. 53. Oh, that's weird. 52 and 53. So I have 6, 6, 7 and then 8 here. And I feel like this, it's like 6, 7, 8, and then we go up to 6 on a different level. So the riddle. So notice how I was talking about this Metatron's cube thing at the beginning with the cards. Go back here. The beginning of this formation is a circle. And then if you look, I don't want to color this in. This is my master copy. I'm going to get a piece of paper and do it. I'm not going to ruin my coloring book. Like with this card, this is the beginning of the formation. If I have a circle and I put another circle with the midpoint meeting, this is a Vesica Pisces. And this is roughly the shape that's right here. But if I add a third circle, this is the beginning of that Metatron's cube formation. This figure here, made out of this snake rope, is essentially this center portion here. Is what we're looking at. You know, it's a pretzel. 3-pronged pretzel. Right. So I started talking about it with these round cards. I pointed it out in the Metatron's cube. It's harder to see on here because all of the lighter circles are sort of covered over, but you can kind of see it over here. You can see the Vesica shape in this circle here and coming in from this one here and then this one over here. All of this rounded part that's coming here is part of a whole nother circle. So if you do it and you don't just make these lines solid like in the way that the Metatron's cube form comes, you'll see that this happens. Because if I were to continue adding circles, I'd get that full 6-pronged form, which I'm going to screw it up if I do it now. But this is the beginning of it. So we have the riddle. It looks like stars, but I think it's actually planets. And because there's 4 of them here and only one of them is actually looking round, to me this looks like the center is Mercury retrograde, and then we have Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter. I know Jupiter's bigger than Pluto, but in terms of the color resonance, this is what I'm getting. And also think of Saturn, and Saturn has a hexagon on top of it, and that comes from that same Metatron's cube shape. But look at, we have a pair of hands here, and we have hands here, and then we have a pair here that's joined and 2 other hands. Here it looks like, you know, what do I do when I'm starting to manifest my world, but people are coming for me? How do I make rain without other people stealing all my cash, all my product, all my energy? How do I make sure people aren't using me in terms of emotions or love or whatever? So let's look at the deeper meaning of the riddle here. 53, I see with these 5s, the 5 is the Hierophant, which is that connection of the spiritual and the material. Right? For me, the Hierophant is the Emperor 4 plus the Magician 1, or in terms of feminine energy, the High Priestess 2 plus 3, the Empress. But I do see this as a 6, 7, 8 progression. It's like rhythmic, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. And we see that happening here. It's like trying to catch the rhythm, trying to pick up the frequency. 171. Why is there so much noise when I'm trying to do this? It's fucking irritating. Like all the vehicles and people and dishes and phones need to shut the fuck up right now. So the puzzle, the question, or the mystery. Enigma. The only way to work with a riddle successfully is to not work. The coin that's lost in the river is found in the river. Interesting. Okay. So the positive aspect of the riddle is an aha moment, like a eureka moment, like a sudden awakening. This to me represents the opening up of the crown chakra. It's like, why isn't it working? I don't get it. Like, what's like why am I putting effort in and nothing's happening? It's because there's an emotional blockage that's shutting down the core reactor for the crown. For the radio tower. When the riddle is present, one must stop searching for the right answer. It cannot be found and ultimately not important. This goes into the idea of like maybe I'm afraid to manifest my dreams because what if I do it wrong, right? It's like what I draw on paper is never as how I imagine it. I can only approximate it, which is why so many people hate their artworks, right? It's like, it is a point where it's like, this isn't fun for me, this is torture, and I do it because I'm compelled to do so. There must be a shift from the literal to the metaphorical, from logic to mythic. You are thinking too small and literally about the situation. The riddle card appears when the energy is deep and mysterious. Elusive wisdom. Focusing harder won't do it, neither will increased effort. Time, surrender, and humor are your only allies. So this is something where it's like your future is destined to be confusing if you don't stop trying to solve your life. It's like the only way to move forward to get where you're going is to emotionally release. And it's not giving up, because that's actually doing something. It's going from too many mind to no mind, and letting the cleansing of an emotional release clear everything away. Right? It's like you don't have to do everything perfectly. The solution isn't found by brute force of will and struggle. It's by having a general intention and also picking up on like universal flows of energy, right? Because there's some points where you do need to put effort in, right? Including this emotional release, right? Because the other card was talking about, stop not acting. But there's a balance between your dreams not realized because you expect everything to happen for you, and the extreme of micromanaging the universe and constantly being stressed out and what about this and what about that and how do I do this and how do I do that. Some of it's about setting an intention, sort of heading in that direction, keeping your emotions fluid, whether they're upset or happy or whatever. You have to sort of experience them instead of just blocking them off. Because sort of what happens is you don't have to know what you're doing or where you're going. You just have to be able to realize this is my boat. Like, I need to get on this, and this current's going to take me where I need to be. The riddle is, it's sort of like, well, I have to know where I'm going. Like, it's like you have to have this intimacy with the universe where it's like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm compelled to go this way. It's like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. What feels like the most pressing dilemma won't reveal its deeper wisdom for a long time. Eventually, you'll learn a profound lesson from the riddle. For now, get comfortable with the limitations of your intellect and the reality of not knowing. It may, in fact, be the only reality there is. Okay. This whole reading feeds into the concept of, it's like you don't really know what your life purpose is until you've already done it. You're like, why am I stuck here in this place? Like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, what I'm dreaming of isn't coming true. But the whole point of being in a certain place and doing certain things isn't necessarily what you do. It might just be that you're there. You might be anchoring a frequency and you'll have no idea about it until later. Or you might be learning a skill, or you might be observing a behavior pattern that you'll need to combine with other things that seem totally separate. So when you get to the eureka moment, you suddenly realize, like, oh, I have this skill set and this skill set and this skill set, right? It's like waxing the car and painting the fence and sanding the floor is a bunch of bullshit. Why am I doing this? Well, because now your muscles are trained in the movements that you need to kick some ass. Going back into that karate metaphor I started with before with the different belts, but which I should stop using because I really don't know anything about it, but I can't do regular sports metaphors because I don't know that shit either, except for like figure skating. But we see that these loops that are made out of 3 separate circles, right? It's like, what's this for? What's this for? Why am I not getting what I want? These things that are sort of floating around with your life, when you stop this sort of, like, I have to know what all of these spinning plates are for. Once they come together, this eureka moment kind of occurs. And that's when the rain manifests. I really see this as, especially now that I've seen this, it's Mercury, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter. Oh, no, this one is Jupiter and this one is Saturn. But I still see these 4 cards as being those 4 retrograde planets, even more so like in this card, and it's weird because this card looks like the setup. It's like the patterns that are manifesting in your life as a blueprint are seen more clearly in the future while being separate right now. Even here I've got this teardrop shape, which is evident as part of the vesica. And over here I have a crescent, which is just forming a fatter vesica, right? The circles haven't overlapped as much, or they've overlapped too much. There's my pen. Right? So over here on this side, I can see I've got a fat crescent. So again, this is like, it's this different aspect of these things in your life that are overlapping for a reason. But the gist of it is emotional release and grounding. You know, it's like there's a frustration of what you most want not manifesting, but that you're not supposed to know when or what it is exactly that you are manifesting out of all the ideas flapping around in your head, all these dreams that come from day to day while you're trying to figure out who are you, what's your life purpose, and what the hell are you even doing. Because it's sort of like, well, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried that, it didn't work. I tried this, it didn't work. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Meanwhile, your radio tower's down, so you're not getting you're not getting that GPS. But the only thing that you can do is to open up this self-intimacy or near-person intimacy or self and universe intimacy through emotional cleansing. And a really good way to do that is to sort of imagine the emotional release that needs to happen going to the ground, because ultimately what happens is the rain falls from the mental region, the air, to the ground, and it creates the nurturing, which will support the sacral chakra. Okay, so let's get our wrap-up card here. So this is the serpent, the Kundalini energy. Now, it did have it come inverted, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. But I see this as being that full moon in Aries, and then I see a new moon over here and a new moon over here. I know there's two smaller circles here, but this still looks like those 4 planets that are going direct. Right? Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Pluto. We have a wave coming out and a wave going in, right? We go all the way up to the crown, and we come all the way back down to the root chakra. This is 46, so I see this 4 again. I see the 6 again, but it ultimately breaks down to 10, so there's another cycle being completed, right? The outcome is to complete a cycle of some sort. Again, with this Emperor number, these colors are really similar. I feel like this new moon here is the same moon that's being held with this, like a same new moon that's being held where this snake's head is. Like this is the new moon that just happened that we missed with Pluto going direct, and then this is the new moon that's happening on the 4th and 5th of November, which is 11, which is a number of universal timing. So I'm not always happy with this serpent card, and I usually have trouble reading it. But I want to read... Let me skim it. Okay, because it was inverted, it says, when you shed the past gracefully, life will not strip it away with great drama. Right, this is the past, right? Previous trauma, and I already mentioned that there was the distortion here was unnecessary drama. Right? So strip it away with, well, when you shed the past gracefully, life will not strip it away with great drama. Indeed, that is something you want to avoid. Do not use your energies to seduce others or allow yourself to be seduced even by your own ideas. So this goes back into that kiss energy and that scorpionic sexual energy, right? It's like if you're learning to use your sacral chakra as the generative creative force, you don't want to... It's a loud noise. The idea of seduction is to absorb other people's energy via the power of your sacral chakra. And in that way, it's sort of theft and trickery because you're only taking a limited source, right? It's like a single-use energy. But if you have an intimacy with someone, there'll be a resonance with expansion, like where the energy goes in both directions instead of just saying like, I'm taking your energy and I'm going over here. Right? It's like, oh, I have my energy and now I have your energy and I'm fucking off over this way. Like, no, when we come out of this idea of seducing other people's energy away from them in order to use it for our own manifestation, we can see that we're sharing this energy, and in that way we're growing it, we're feeding it, we're nurturing the energy into a natural expansion. And it's like, it was like when I worked at insurance company, they had these like quarterly meetings with some doofus from Central who could never use a PowerPoint, even though they did it every month or every couple months. And their whole business plan wasn't to really gain new customers by virtue of, being attractive because of an innate, nurturing quality. It was to just steal customers from other companies and seduce them with good deals and then slowly raise the prices on all the endorsements for people that had policies already. So it's like what happens when you run out of customers to steal from other companies? Then your business plan is fucked. That's the same thing. It's like what happens when the person you're taking energy from via seduction by I get a 2-for-1 deal here for you. Buy one, get one free. Or it's like the first 3 minutes are only $2.99, but after that you're paying $20 a minute for me to suck your energy off of you. And it's like, it's not a good plan to take energy from other sources when it's finite, right? You don't want single use, you want rechargeable batteries. It's also talking about vulnerability, right? Vulnerability is related to intimacy as well. It says your passion and sexuality are awakening, and this can be scary. Right? It's like the nurturing energy that comes through the sacral chakra. When you're not used to using it and you're saying, well, I'm supposed to be shy. I'm not supposed to be powerful in my own sexuality because that means I'm dirty. It's like you can have strong sexual power without being seductive in some way. You can just say, well, this is this is one of my chakras, and now that it's operating without a power drain, you know, this, like, I feel strong, and this is a natural part of my energy, any more than speaking up for myself, or thinking clearly, or having emotional clarity where I'm not constantly carrying around 40 pounds of grief case. Trust the wisdom of serpent to transform your sensual energies into beautiful original manifestation. So here we're talking about desires, right? All the desires in my head, whether it's stuff or a vocation or somebody else. Yeah, it's all about opening up the chakras and shedding the past. Shedding the past is very similar to shedding the tears about the past. Right? It's like, I don't need to cling to it. Why? Because when the skin needs to be shed, there's too much restriction. Right? And the only way to expand is to shed that. And now you're leveling up. You have more energy. You're bigger. You're manifesting more, like, more greatly. It's not just like, oh, my pants are tight, I got fatter, like, better get some different pants. It's an energetic way. And a lot of the time they say, like, lobsters and snakes and crabs or whoever, it's like the only reason they get bigger is because of some kind of environmental pressure. Right? And that's sort of the thing too, is like, there's no learning without adversity of some kind. But here, it's this idea of manifestation is all about essentially releasing shame and trauma for this reading. And like, the long and short of it, up and down, is air signs need to stop overthinking everything and like slow everything down until there's no thoughts, just emotional content. That's when the shedding and the release can happen. Right? It's like all the thoughts are like 42 different bolts on this door that's holding back this wall of water. And you don't want to open the floodgates, you want to rain. You want to have a wider spread nourishment of your own ground. Because what happens if you release all that emotion at once? It's going to be a flood, and it's going to wash out all the roots, and the land's going to start having landslides and collapsing and all this shit. But if you have rain and it comes in a sort of a steady enough pace, it's going to soak into the ground, and there's going to be nurturing and growth. Okay? So that's what's going on there. All right, so this reading is called Triangulation, and I haven't set it up to offer it yet, but if you email me and you want one for yourself, I will figure out a price. I also have other readings. The complete list is going to be, get this, in the description box underneath the video, and I like to use the paintbrush better. So if you want that coloring book, it's called Energy Forms. I also have Draco Forms, another coloring book, and some dark poetry over here. I have merch and prints and actual art items over here. Some of the, at least a couple, well, at least one for sure, at least one of the drawings that I redrew for the coloring book is on Etsy. And I know that they're on Cafe Press and DeviantArt. So shirts and shirts, knickknacks, blankets, towels, little bags, cups and mugs and things over there on Cafe Press. And then DeviantArt, they do have like mugs and coasters, and mouse pads and magnets. But mostly DeviantArt is like prints, flat stuff you can stick on your wall. Etsy, I have plushies and... Oh, where's my thing? Is it back here? It is back here. Okay. So I have a Chakra Lotus set on Etsy. I need to make individual ones, but I've been really busy. This flower, this foam lotus, is based on that Metatron's cube shape, right? So we start with this, we add like, you know, more circles to the outside till there's 6, and then you repeat the pattern, and that's what's going on here. This is just a 3-dimensional version of the flower of life for me. So I have a set of these, all chakra colored. This is a 6-inch diameter, and those are 4-inch. And then I've got a stack of foam over here because I'm supposed to make more, but I haven't gotten to it yet. A set takes like 8 hours to make, and I just haven't had that time yet. But I want to make some individual ones, so I'll eventually have singles up there too, or you could request. So those are on Etsy. I've got a couple plushies, mostly flat artworks, all different kinds, etchings, watercolor, painting, crayon colored pencil, charcoal. Do I have charcoal? I do. I think I have a charcoal one. And chalk pastel. So that's all over there on Etsy. I also have chapbook packs. It has a little bit of the writing. It has random different art on it. It's like, you know, getting a few cards helps with synchronicity stimulation. And it's just little, like a little gift, mystery gift pack as well. So there's going to be writing, images, numbers if you can read my craptastic handwriting. And that all comes in a little envelope, and it's about the cost of a greeting card. If you get 3 or more of anything on my Etsy shop, including templates, use that coupon code 3star17 if I could talk, and you'll get 17% off. And again, that's everything on Etsy, so that includes all the artworks and the couple of doll parts that I've got floating around over there. Anything and everything from a few bucks to like 150. So I'll use that coupon. If you have any questions or comments, or you want to get a reading, that you can email me, thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com. If you found this helpful or useful or interesting, you want to donate energy exchange, hit that tip jar. It's PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. I have some social media. You can come hang out with me unless it crashes for a whole day again. Everything on here that I've been talking about is through my link tree. It's linktr.ee/cattheminion. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye.